The first time his hands touched me, it didn't feel like just a touch, it felt like an invasion wrapped in tenderness. His fingers traced over me as though I was the land he had longed to cultivate, the field he had dreamt of conquering. And I let him. That night, the air in my bedroom was thick, humid, almost like the summer in Georgia where the crops grow wild and stubborn. My husband was out of town, busy with his endless business trips, the ones that left me lonelier than I dared admit. And there he was, this man who wasn't supposed to be here, wasn't supposed to know how dry my soul had become. Before I continue, let me pause. Backhand index pointing right if you're listening to this, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and share it with someone who loves stories soaked with heat, danger, and forbidden romance. Alright, let me take you back to where it all started. He was a neighbor, not too far down the road, always smelling faintly of wood smoke and earth. A man of the soil, the kind who knew how to plant things and make them grow. He had this rugged look, sun-kissed skin, rough palms, lips that seemed always thirsty. At first, it was just harmless. He'd wave when passing by, I'd wave back. But loneliness is a dangerous seed, and when it finds a little space to fall, it sprouts quickly. The day it happened, the sun was dripping low across the sky. He had come over to help me fix a broken fence in the backyard. My husband had promised to fix it for months but never did. This man didn't even ask, he just showed up with his tools. "Don't worry, I'll take care of it," he said, his voice deep, steady, with that southern drawl that could melt the frost off any woman's heart. I stood there, pretending to watch, pretending to care about the fence. But in truth, my eyes followed every move of his muscles as they flexed beneath his shirt, damp with sweat. The smell of his work, the earthy heat of him, clung to the air between us. And when he turned, wiping his brow with the back of his hand, our eyes locked. It wasn't just a look. It was a question. One I was too dry, too starved, not to answer. That evening, after the fence was fixed, he didn't leave right away. Instead, he lingered at the porch, drinking the sweet tea I had poured him. His thigh brushed against mine when he sat down, deliberate or maybe careless, but either way, it lit a spark in me. And sparks, left unchecked, always lead to fire. Fire that was the beginning. The day he first planted himself into my life, into my body, into my secret world that my husband never saw. But little did I know, the farming he started in my fertile enclosure, would leave me emptied, drained, and aching for more. The morning after that reckless encounter, I woke with a body that still trembled from his harvest. My skin carried the warmth of his hands, the marks of his relentless plowing, and yet my heart was conflicted. I was a wife, a mother, a woman tethered by vows that should have kept me safe within boundaries. But he had broken them, or maybe I had let him break them, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to mend the fence again. I sat at the kitchen table, coffee untouched, staring out the window at my backyard. The garden bloomed wildly, every flower seeming to mock me with its openness. My husband's voice echoed faintly from the living room as he flipped through channels, oblivious to the drought of passion in our marriage. He didn't notice me slipping further away each day, and maybe that's why I had let another man cultivate me. "Hey," his text came in. Just one word, but it carried weight heavier than any vow I had spoken at the altar. I stared at it, my fingers trembling as if the phone itself was alive. I shouldn't reply. I knew it. But temptation never asked for permission, it demanded surrender. "Morning," I finally typed back. The response came instantly, as though he'd been waiting with restless hunger. "I can still taste you. I need more." My breath caught in my throat. The words burned through me, igniting something I thought had long died. That aching dryness I had carried for years, his touch had turned it into a flood. "Stop," I typed. But even in that word, there was no conviction. He knew it too. "You don't want me to stop." And he was right. By noon, he had lured me out again. I found myself at his apartment, the air heavy with the scent of whiskey and musk. He looked at me like a starving man who had found a feast, and I couldn't help but melt into his hunger. Like and subscribe, he whispered with a wicked grin as he pinned me against the door, as if mocking the way I shared my secret story with you now. So if you're listening, if you're feeling this fire as I tell it, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share it. Because trust me, my tale is only beginning. He didn't waste time with small talk. His mouth found mine, his hands explored me with the urgency of a man sowing seeds in fertile land, and I was powerless to resist. Every thrust, every kiss, every moan carved me deeper into this betrayal I had chosen. When it ended, I lay in his arms, drenched in both pleasure and guilt. He whispered against my neck, "You're mine now." And maybe, just maybe, he was right. I don't even know how to describe the way his hands claimed me that night without sounding like I've completely lost my sanity. But maybe that's the point, maybe in his arms I did lose it, willingly, hungrily, and without apology. It was supposed to be simple. A moment stolen in the back of his truck after the long day's work on his farm. The smell of soil still clung to my dress, the faint dust of hay tickled my skin, and there I was, trembling as his breath fanned across my neck. I had told myself earlier that day, just one more time, and then I'll stop. But the truth was, I didn't want to stop. Every look he gave me, every graze of his rough fingertips across my palm, fed that fire inside me. He lifted me onto his lap as if I weighed nothing, my body already betraying me with the way it responded. His lips pressed against mine, firm, meaty, tasting of sweat and desire. And when he whispered my name, dragging it out like a prayer he didn't believe he deserved, I melted. "Please," I whispered back. And I wasn't sure if I was asking him to slow down or to never stop. And just like that, his hunger devoured me. His passion felt like plowing through soil that was already too eager, too fertile, too ready for seed. I clung to his shoulders, my nails sinking into the fabric of his shirt as though they could anchor me to reality. But reality was slipping. Every movement, every thrust of his knee against mine, took me deeper into a space where I no longer cared who I was, or who I was supposed to be. I was only the woman in his lap, drowning in the harvest of desire. Somewhere between the fevered kisses and the desperate rhythm of his body, I thought about you, yes, you, the one watching, listening, living my secret with me. I want you to feel this ache, this intensity, to let yourself imagine it right now. And if you do, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who dares to dream dangerously, and subscribe to my channel. Because here, I tell you truths no one else dares to. Back in his truck, the windows fogged from our heat, his breath heavy in my ear, he whispered words that undid me completely. "You're not just another harvest," he said. "You're the field I can't stop sowing." And my heart, my reckless, aching heart, believed him. By the time it was over, I was trembling, emptied, and yet somehow full. My hair clung damp to my forehead, his shirt stuck to his chest, and my lips still tasted of him. But as I slipped out of that truck and onto the cold night air, I felt it, the dryness creeping in, the emptiness he left in me when he wasn't there. For every drop of passion he poured into me, I was left thirsting for more. And that's when I knew. I was already in too deep. I should have known that everything plentiful comes with its own emptiness. A bumper harvest doesn't last forever, it leaves the land stripped, gasping, begging for rain again. That was me. That night, when he pressed himself against me one last time, I felt both abundance and depletion. His mouth moved like a storm over me, his hands like a farmer desperate to reap before the rains vanished. I gave in, again, because my body had learned to respond before my mind could resist. I whispered his name like it was a forbidden prayer, my breath breaking against the silence of the room. Every thrust, every moan, every arch of my back reminded me that I was giving pieces of myself I could never recover. Yet, I wanted more. I was insatiable, intoxicated by the way he turned me into his field of endless planting. But when the frenzy ended, when the sweat cooled on our skin, when the room fell quiet except for the ragged pace of our breathing, that emptiness came again. My fertile enclosure had given, over and over, but it was left cracked, aching, dry. "Do you regret this?" he whispered against my ear, his lips brushing my skin. I didn't answer. Not because I didn't know, but because the truth was too heavy. Regret lived in me, but so did craving. Love? No. It was hunger, lust, addiction. And so I lay there, staring at the ceiling, thinking of the life waiting for me outside those sheets, my husband, my responsibilities, my mask of perfection. None of them would ever know what I gave away in secret. None would ever know how drained I felt from giving myself to a man who was never meant to plant in me. But here I am, sharing this with you. My confession, my anonymity, my truth. If you've listened this far, please, don't forget, subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and share this story. Because my secret is not just mine. It belongs to anyone who has ever tasted forbidden fruit, who has ever traded loyalty for passion, who has ever been left dry after giving too much. This is my yield, my ache, my secret harvest. And that, my darlings, was the harvest of my forbidden adventure, lush, reckless, and intoxicating, yet leaving me trembling in a dryness only his touch could drench. He tilled every corner of me, sowed desires that grew wild, and reaped pleasures that blurred the line between sin and salvation. Even now, when I close my eyes, I feel him, his rhythm, his strength, his claim over my fertile ground. It wasn't just passion, it was surrender, it was a secret seed planted deep inside me, growing into a memory I'll never escape. Kiss mark if this story stirred you, if it left your heart racing or your thoughts wandering into hidden places, don't keep it to yourself. Tap that like button, share this confession with someone who dares to taste a forbidden yield, and most of all, subscribe for more tales that will quench your thirst for romance, lust, and raw intimacy. Because my story doesn't end here, it only gets deeper, darker, and far more dangerous. And trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. Rose Fire.